It's time to join Montana's very own and your voice for agriculture, Talkin' Ag Lane Nordland, for today's Lanecast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lanecast Ag Podcast in conjunction with the Western Ag Network. It's been a few weeks since we've done a weekend roundup of what the livestock markets were doing across certain markets across Western Ag Network country, but we're doing that here today as we get close to wrapping up September 2024. And of course, today's program is brought to you by our friends at HerdWatch, simplifying livestock for over 10 years. It's a great way to manage and organize your livestock operation seamlessly, all from your desktop, your phone, whatever it might be. Check out HerdWatch today and learn more on how you can manage your ranch and maybe even save a little bit on a subscription here today as well. Again, a big shout out to our friends at HerdWatch. Well, as we look to the markets here today, a big shout out to Montana State University Bobcats winning over Idaho State University this past weekend. Go Bobcats. Got to give a good shout out to the Bobcats there. If you're not a Bobcats fan, I'll forgive you, or you can forgive me here today as well. But thanks for joining us here today as, of course, it's football season, but it is shipping season for so many producers out in the countryside, and busy times out there. Folks are preconditioning or shipping early. Again, calves, the fall run is starting in our local livestock markets as well, so we'll recap what some of those early fall round prices are bringing. But again, cowboys love fat calves, and the calves out here in central Montana, where I call home, are looking pretty good, especially all this green grass that is starting to sprout after all the rain we had just over a week and a half ago across much of central Montana. So if you haven't got moisture yet here this fall, let's cross our fingers and say a prayer that you get some good moisture to help off our 2025 season here as we wrap up 2024. Before we get to those local markets, let's quickly just see how that cash cattle trade for the last full week of September looked. We saw it really start to develop on Thursday. A few sales of 184 to 185 in the south. That was up $1 to $3 from the previous week, where northern live sales were also 186 to 187. The dress trade mostly $3 higher than the previous week, coming in at 294. Live cattle futures settled Friday session with contracts anywhere from 35 cents lower to 7 cents higher. Prices were a tad lower on those October live cattle, down 35 cents at 183.75. December contracts lower at 184.47. February contracts at 185.55. Feeder cattle futures were actually up a tick to 85 cents higher across the board. Those November feeder cattle futures up 72 cents at 245.70. Feeder cattle in January up 85 cents at 239.60. Now, from that cash market and our livestock boards, let's look to 2 days of sales that occurred this past week at Torrington Livestock. They had a lot of cows sell and bulls on September 25th and their feeder sale on Friday the 27th. Looking at those steer prices, the 4.5 to 5 weight steers, $3.25 to $3.36. The 5.5 to 6 weights, $2.90 to $3.08. Those heavier 7 to 750 pound steers in Torrington bringing $2.60 to $2.65. Heifers, on the other hand, had the 5 to 5.5 weights, average $2.75, with the 6.5 to 7 weight heifers, $2.50 up to $2.66. As for the midweek cow sale, slaughter cows brought a price of $1.05 up to $1.33, while slaughter bulls $1.40 to $1.56. So compared to the previous week, feeders, steers, and heifers traded mostly $5 to $10 higher, with the exception of those 950 plus weight steers trading mostly steady. As for the sale at the Billings Livestock Commission, just over 2,500 head sold. Feeder calves and yearlings, along with heifers, were a little lightly tested to establish a market trend, though higher undertones were noted for cattle under 850 pounds and steady undertones for those over 850 pounds, similar to the trend seen there in Torrington. Prices for steers there at BLS weighing 5 to 5.5, $2.66 to $2.90. 6 to 6.5 weights, $2.45 to $2.65, with the 7 to 750 pound steers, $2.48 to $2.76. Looking at those heifers in Billings now, the 4.5 to 5 weights, $2.67, all the way up to $2.97 on some fancy ones. The 5.5 to 6 weights, $2.36 to $2.44. 6.5 to 7 weight heifers, $2.39 to $2.50. Hey, we'll check out a few more markets in the Dakotas and in Nebraska, but first, a quick message from our friends at HerdWatch.
Less time on paperwork and more time on the things that truly drive your operation. HerdWatch helps large and small cattle producers to easily direct day-to-day management from the palm of their hand. HerdWatch simplifies record keeping and allows you to make better, data-backed decisions on your ranch. Easily track calving and weaning with our free digital calving book and access that information anytime, anywhere. Join over 22,000 producers globally. Visit herdwatch.com or download our app for free. HerdWatch, 10 years simplifying livestock.
Again, a big thank you to our friends at HerdWatch for bringing you this livestock market recap for the I wanted to say first full week of September. It feels like the first full week for the last full week of September here in 2024. Again, check out HerdWatch online to help simplify the organization that we all need out, or can do a better job maybe, out on our farms and ranches. Again, 10 years of simplifying livestock. Well, let's look to Dickinson, North Dakota now, where the Stockman's Livestock Exchange had yearling feeder steers steady to $3 higher, while those yearling heifers were steady to $4 higher this past week. We see that feeder steers on the 26th of September weighing 6 to 6.5 weight brought $2.74 to $2.87. 7 to 7.5 weights $2.66 to $2.80, with the 8 to 8.5 weights $2.50 to $2.55. And feeder heifers weighing 750 to 800 pounds saw a price of $2.39 to $2.52. Now let's look to Ogallala Livestock there in Nebraska, where Gus stopped by to see a gal named Clara one time. Well, they had 3,000 plus head sell this past week. Over 700 pounds was about $1 to $6 higher, and heifers over 700 pounds were steady to $5 higher. Prices for the 7 to 750 pound steers, $2.49 to $2.73, 7.5 to 8 weights, $2.53 to $2.69, 8.5 to 9 weights, $2.36 to $2.63. Feeder heifers on the heavier end weighing 850 to 9 weight, $2.24 to $2.33, 9 to 9.5 weights, $2.13 to $2.26, 1,000 to 1,050 weight heifers in Ogallala, $2.09 to $2.10. Now let's look to Colorado's La Junta Livestock Commission. Just over 1,300 head went through the ring. Feeder steers sold $8 to $25 lower, actually, with instances of feeder heifers selling $3 to $12 lower as well. Pressure on that local market with the 6 to 650 weight steers, $2.11 to $2.53, 7 to 7.5 weights, $2.13 to $2.37, 8 to 8.50s, $2.31 to $2.37. Feeder heifers on that lower trend, as I mentioned there, 6 to 6.5 weights, $2.21 to $2.39, 6.5 to 7 weights, $2.55 to $2.37. Heavier 8 to 8.5 weights, $2.16 to $2.24. And this happened a few weeks ago, but Northern Livestock Video Auction concluded its summer video sale season with its annual fall premiere sale. Just over 12,000 head of feeder cattle sold on the platform. Weaned calves also saw solid premiums again this sale as buyers showed strong demand for late delivery calves. The largest premiums were given to cattle sold as all natural, NHTC, and GAP all combined there as well. No surprise there during these late season sales. But Northern Video wrapped up their 2024 fall premiere sale with the 5 to 5.5 weight steers, $2.98 to $3.37, 5.5 to 6 weights, $3 to $3.30, 6.5 to 7 weights, $2.44 to $2.86. Feeder heifers at 5 to 5.5 weight, $2.58 to $3.01, 5.5 to 6 weights, $2.55 to $2.86, to 6.5 weights, $2.30 to $2.59. Again, that's just a quick glimpse at what these local livestock markets averaged during the last week of September 2024. We cover a lot of other livestock markets out across Western Ag Network country day in and day out, but that's just a sample of what we share on our radio and TV programs each and every day. Thanks for tagging along here, whether you're tuning in to YouTube or all of our podcast platforms. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure and click subscribe and follow along on Western Ag Network or the Lanecast Ag Podcast. We would greatly appreciate that. And we will let you back to your day here again. Thank you to HerdWatch for bringing you today's livestock market recap. With that, I'm Lloyd Nordlund. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lanecast with Talkin' Ag, Lane Nordlund. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lanecast on your Apple or Android devices. We look forward to joining you next time on the Lanecast.